What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to episode 23 of Sunday Morning Conversation, where we talk to content creators and business owners in the trading card and collectible card game space about cards, content, and everything in between. If you would like to be on a future episode of Sunday Morning Conversation, feel free to email me in the description below or on Instagram. Got a good one for you today. Someone I just came across recently emailed me a couple weeks ago, and I think you guys know by this point that I'm horrible at keeping names and keeping track of things, but we finally got my man, Nick from Cardboard Catalyst, Capital Catalyst, right? I knew I was going to say cardboard, and then I said, don't do it. I still did it anyway, but we're here. Capital Catalyst. Nick, man, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a great Saturday. I guess it's Sunday when you're watching this.
Yeah.
But it's good to be here. It's fun to watch the videos, and then the dream comes true. You get to be part of one.
Yeah, well, I know I did a little bit of an intro there, but if you want to further introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, what type of content you make, and then we can get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So by day, I'm a strategy analyst, but by night, I love making YouTube videos. I've been making about a video a day since the end of January, all about Magic the Gathering, about finances, about trying to make money, whether that is selling singles or selling sealed or collecting, and then eventually selling your collection, whether it's investing. And I try to practice what I preach. I am a player. I am an investor. I am a collector. I try to enjoy the game, but also make money through all these avenues. And I have a good time talking about it and kind of what it takes in Magic the Gathering specifically to make money. All the other card games are cool too, but Magic is definitely my niche.
Yeah, Magic, it's you know, I deal with a lot of Pokemon, but I've talked about my Magic background before. I used to play, I was in deep competitively. Me and my buddies, I mean, every weekend. I live in Central Florida, and we drive to Miami one weekend, Atlanta the next, you know, South Carolina, wherever there was a GP. I think they were still doing Grand Prix trials and stuff at the time. And it's just, even though I haven't played in a while, to really any extent, it's still like my bread and butter, and there's still so many things that I know. So when it comes to Magic, are you more on the sealed side of things? Are you more on the single side? Is there a healthy mix? What is your main strategy at the moment?
Yeah, so personally, the way I make money is with singles. I buy some sealed products, I break them down. I love watching your videos, Bronze, on the Marvel starter boxes, Jumpstart. You know, there's a lot of opportunity, and that's what's unique about Magic too, right? Is that there's all these products with inverted expected values. I just pulled the trigger on like a half dozen sealed Ravnica Clue edition from 2024 that, you know, we'll find out. You never really know till you open the box, get the singles listed, and then see what they really sell for. But if, you know, my estimation's right, there's about $110, $115 worth of singles inside, able to buy them for $70 each, and then, you know, money. So yeah, so a lot of singles work. There are sealed plays I make, especially around collector booster boxes, when they're coming out, when they're pre-ordering for a good price. I've gotten pretty lucky this year, I'll say. There's some like skill, some knowledge in it, right? But there's also a lot of luck in pre-ordering expensive Magic the Gathering products, and then when release comes, selling them and making money that way. But a lot of my stuff is shorter term. I'm looking to get into more longer term, you know, true investment instead of the kind of flipper type stuff. But that's definitely what keeps me busy right now.
So do you do any sealed at all, or is it strictly just breaking it down and just the single game entirely?
I mean, I haven't bought like a collection with sealed in it and then at like, you know, 70% been able to flip that. I haven't pulled that off. All the collections I buy are singles. So any sealed that I'm buying and that I keep sealed are essentially like speculations, like, oh, I think this is going to like 1.5x in the next couple of months, and then I'll sell that and something like that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that because especially since I, you know, started with unboxings and then kind of got into selling, and I was mainly my channel at least started with Pokemon mainly. A lot of people may not be used to how other games work, and even though Pokemon is a playable game and people play it, it is the percentage of people who play and collect is far different than Magic. Magic is so much a player's game first, to where, you know, it doesn't really make sense to hold on to a lot of sealed product. Obviously, if you watch channels like Alpha Investments and all these places, I mean, there's room to do that. But with Magic, and especially with modern stuff, it's collector booster boxes or nothing else, or you're going to be waiting a really, really long time for a lot of the modern stuff, especially to retain any value, which is why I ended up going down the RNG games routes and others, like you were talking about, where breaking things down and kind of getting really, really in the grit, the hard work that it takes to just eke out a margin wherever you can. How long have you been doing unboxings? Has that been like the crux of where you get your main amount of singles? What would be the percentage of collection buys and breaking down product when it comes to your inventory and how you obtain it?
Yeah, that's a great question because I've been doing this seriously since mid 2024. I've been buying and selling Magic cards since, I don't know, 2014. And so, but a lot of that is just like you have a commander deck, you get bored of it, you sell it, use that money to buy a new commander deck or whatever. But since mid 2024, I was buying lots of commander decks, sealed commander decks, and then breaking those down. Magic used to have collector sample packs, so there'd be some level of like randomization still inside of those sealed commander deck sets. And what was incredible about those sealed commander deck sets, I'm saying this past tense, they still make these, but things are a little different now. Back then, there were quite a few of these commander decks that you know what cards are in there, right? You have the deck list, and you know the expected value. You know that you could buy for $113 if you're getting it from distribution or close to distribution prices. You could get a deck set of Merzer Karloff Manor, and then you could break those down and sell all the cards inside for $160. And then after fees or whatever, you net like $20-30. You're not making buku, but it's good money. And I would order like 5 commander deck sets, 6 commander deck sets a week, and do this on the side. And I did a lot of this through 2025 as well. And 2025 on Tcgplayer, I net about 70 grand. Well, I say net. That's how much they paid me.
Sure.
And so now out of that 70 grand, how much of that was sealed commander decks? I would say it's probably like 2/3, maybe 3/4. And then the rest of that would be collections. I've met some people around my area that come across large quantities of high-end Magic cards, and they're happy to liquidate them at 70%. And so it's like, sounds great. I'll meet you anytime, anywhere, cash in hand. and they know what I'm doing. They know that I'm turning around and selling on Tcgplayer, but we're all happy. And so it's a good gig.
Yeah. It's funny when you mention the collection side of things, because it's like there's so many people nowadays where it's like I'll meet up with for someone for deals, and they'll be like, well, I need 100%, or I don't want to deal with any dirty scalpers. And it's like, brother, you're doing the same thing that I am. Like, can we just be let's not kid ourselves here. You are trying to sell something. I'm trying to buy something. If you were in the same boat as me, I'd be trying to make a little money. So like, I don't understand what the issue is, especially when buying locally, of trying to like get someone off the scent that you're trying to like get as much money as possible. Like, we're all kind of there's so many different rings to this tree of cardboard, and everyone on every single level is trying to make something. So like, just be honest, like it's crazy. It's frustrating.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, absolutely. It's what's really gets me that I find interesting is the people on Facebook Marketplace, they list their whole collection. They're like, I want one buyer. They've got like $5,000 of cards. Yeah. They're like, I want one buyer, and I don't want to sell at 75%. Yeah. I want like 85% or 90%. And this is
no low balls. No low balls. I want your best offer first. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to reach out to them because it's just obviously not a good fit. But I do wonder if they sell. I'm like, what happens? Like, I wish I could reach out and say like, hey, I'm not a good buyer for you, but can I follow up with you in a month? And it'd be kind of rude though to be like, I don't think you're going to be successful, but that's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, I don't know. Maybe they did find the buyer.
It's definitely one of like my top 3 red flags when it comes to trying to buy from people. Like, if they put that in anywhere in the description, it's an automatic nope. And I always wonder, like, do they know what they're doing, or are they really just ignorant to how sales work? Because when it comes to selling, the number one rule, which is the factor in everything we do, is risk. there's fees everywhere. You don't get to just go on Facebook and say, I want full value of everything, no work put in, no anything, and then just like, oh, money button, boop. How are things over there where you are? Like, do you run into that often? Because I know a big hurdle for people who are starting to get into selling and getting into local deals and local pickups. I hear those stories a lot where it's like, yeah, this guy just wanted like 110% and he wouldn't budge, and I did it anyway. And it's like, no, don't do that. Like, there's always other deals, you know? And I can understand why they would feel that way, especially when you and other people make content about all these crazy bulk deals they're getting. But how do you handle that type of situation? And how would you suggest to someone else who's starting on like when to maybe take a risk on something like that, or when to just like really just sniff out what the bad and the good deals are?
Yeah, I find this is true for all the listeners and for both of us, is that time is the limited resource, right? And time is what we have a premium on. And so getting to the chase, and just saying like, hey, I'm interested in your collection. I'm looking to pay around this much, because you could kind of like in a timid way be like, oh, how much are you hoping to get? And, I just find that cutting to the chase, every time I've done that, it's led to a successful transaction if they're into it, right? Obviously, I get rejected, but if they're saying like, yeah, that sounds good, let's meet up, or like, I'm happy for you to go through the cards or whatever. But yeah, make it very clear right up front, like I'm looking to buy around, these percentages. Some people don't think in percentages, so they'll say like, oh, I'm looking to pay around this much. I want to go through your cards. Like if they don't list everything, which I've made a lot of money taking gambles, driving half an hour to meet up with somebody who didn't list all the cards that they're selling, but listed some good stuff. And I was like, let's go check out what you got. And then you find out that they have all these fetch lands and dual lands, and I pay a good margin or good percentage for those, right? You're not looking to take advantage of people, but if you're willing to put in the work and the effort, and you're working with people that are obviously open to have somebody come check out their collection and give them a fair deal, I've had a lot of success that way. It's been great.
Yeah, one of the first, actually probably my first bulk deal I ever did, it was a store around me, and he was like a co-owner. Like he only owned like 5% of the business, but he was so much more a player than a seller. He was just there to like help out and bought a little piece of it. And he had like 4 or 5 rows of Magic bulk. And I was like, hey, I'm just getting into this. I'd buy it from you? And he's like, okay, sure. And I told him my rates, and he was like, oh, that's what you mean. Because I think he was expecting me to like piece out every single card. I was like, no. Usually when it comes to commons and uncommons and rares, it's like a flat rate per. And I think originally I offered him like $100 because I didn't know how much. I was just doing $5 per 1,000 because I thought it was all commons and uncommons. He's like, no, this is just stuff I've thrown in boxes over time. So I was like, well, how about this? I'll just give you $200, and then if I find anything super nutty, I've been going to this store for years. I'm not gonna, screw you over. I was like, yeah, that's fine, not a problem. I pulled the first stack out. I mean, this basically every box. It looked like every time he drafted, it was just like different colored bricks of sleeves. The first stack of cards I pull out is nothing but what's the last unset that was out? Infinity.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure, but yeah,
it was I think there was a pick of about 100 cards, and in those 100 cards, there were like 20 saw and halves, and at the time they were like $20 a piece. There were like 5 or 10 of those like Cosmo Hollow shock lands that are like hundreds of dollars now. It was just insane. Now, most of the boxes were to be expected, but they were still like 50-cent cards, dollar cards. So I ended up giving him a lot more. But yeah, it's just interesting. You never know what you're going to get when you're dealing with people online. And to your point, have you ever seen, that was the movie I was trying to think of. Have you ever seen Moneyball?
I haven't.
So there's a scene in the movie. Yeah. I would strongly recommend watching it. It's good, but there's a scene in the movie where they have to, Brad Pitt's character goes to a pitcher they're trying to get on the team, and he just shoots him straight. Like you said, he's like, hey, I'm so-and-so from the Athletics. Here's a contract we'd like you to look over. Look it over with your wife, and just reach out to us if you are interested and have any questions, and then just leave it at that. And then, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks, if no one's responded or you still see the listing up there, follow up with them, because you never know. I mean, these people, I hate to say it, a lot of people get desperate. They want their money back. They want their money back fast. And when they realize that asking for 120% over market is not the way to go. If you're the one that's persistent, you're probably gonna be the one that walks away with the cards.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
love that
use
idea.
any platforms like SortSwift, Card Uploader, or anything to help facilitate your business?
I don't. I don't. So that's the thing. I think that's the biggest difference in like our day to day is that I don't really deal with bulk.
Oh,
I
okay.
do sift. Yeah, I sift everything. And then I get these bulk lots. Like I've got piles of cards next to me that then I end up selling on like Facebook Marketplace or whatever. But and so because of that, I mean a couple things. First off, is that sifting is great for getting those commander staples, for getting the good stuff. I feel like I sell a lot. Like I get quite a few orders every day, but it's because it's like just good stuff, and then you run out of it, and then you gotta buy more Ravnica Clue Edition
Mm-hmm.
or whatever to restock. But the the biggest problem I have in my business right now is that I'm not that good at sifting. I miss expensive cards all the time, and that's I've been thinking about this like list everything stuff that like you preach, that other people preach, and I'm like, I probably benefit quite a bit from that because I find out all the time. Most recently with the Marvel Jumpstart boxes, somebody pointed out like, oh, by the way, did you know Multiversal Recruitment's like a $10 card? And I was like, what? Like there was like I don't know 3 or 4 of them that I
Yeah.
sold to somebody in a bulk lot, and it's just $30 of cards that just I could have caught. So I'm needless to say, I'm very excited. I got a Roka sifter, and
Nice.
that is going to be probably doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to like actually making sure I sift the right stuff. Um, and yeah, and then also potentially making it a lot easier to list more stuff too, which is an interesting part of my business because I only have like at any given time like 1 to 3 thousand cards listed, but I'm able to churn through stuff. Case in point, like how much I was able to sell last year. So it's just interesting. It's interesting, like the different strategies
Oh yeah.
and what works.
Yeah, the Marvel Jumpstart, it's not as sky high as it was. It was like $250, $300 for a while. Now it's more down to earth, kind of where like Foundations Jumpstart is, where it's like maybe $30 to $40 of profit per box after fees, which I know doesn't sound a lot, but when you're spending $100 a box, I mean 10 to 20% is 10 to 20%, and the more you buy when you're doing any kind of an opening, the closer and closer you get to that middle point of the EV for the product. And the thing with Marvel too, and I've noticed with Marvel with the Last Airbender or Avatar and I can't remember the other set, but because they are very popular pop culture things, a lot of people just buy the cards because it's got their favorite character on them. Or I don't know how many orders I've done of Marvel Jumpstart where it's literally just every single superhero, every single supervillain. What was the order I just had 3 days ago? Oh, the guy liked the Hulk, so he ordered all 109 copies of Thing Swing that I had.
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
that's
like
wild.
I thought it was playable, but I was like, okay, maybe I guess it's not playable. But that's kind of why I've always liked the list everything thing, is because like you never know when those things are going to happen, and there's the argument of like, is it worth holding on all this stuff for that? And I would argue that if you're small enough that it is, and because of direct, because even though you might not be on direct, the direct price floor has made some of these cars that are 2, 3, 4 cents 5, 10, 15, 20 cents, which then kind of gives an illusion that some of these things might be not as bad as they are. And I've seen other cards that would normally not sell because of it. So since you don't
Yeah,
use
it's
any
fascinating.
technology, and
Yeah, yeah.
so which I'm glad you're getting the sifter, but since you don't use any technology or anything like that, I wonder what your opinion would be on the sifting of things, because there are a lot of people getting into selling cards, and there are a lot of people that are going to be getting the sifter, and it's going to maybe a small part of my brain thinks this, but a lot of people at large are starting to think that the more and more people that get their hands on sifters, the harder and harder it's going to get to come across bulk that is worth it, and then kind of warping the bulk landscape of the hobby itself. What is your opinion on where you expect things to be, and how much of an effect, short and long term, that the sifter and maybe other technological advancements in the next 6 to 12 months is going to help or hurt the industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've made a couple of videos about this because I'm really excited about my sifter. I participated in a Kickstarter campaign for something called the Card Mill. That and like Kickstarter is a wild place, right? Because
Oh,
you
it
can just
is.
give them your money and then nothing. You can just get nothing, and people get nothing all the time. So beware of Kickstarter. But I did it. I put in quite a bit of money, like $800, into the Card Mill, and this was before the sifter, Roca sifter, was even like announced. But I was putting $800 for what could just end up being nothing, but I was very hopeful would be like a card sorting kind of machine. And then, of course, the Roca sifter comes out, and I ordered one of those too because, anyway, the point being is that I think this will have a big impact. I'm not foolish enough to believe that I know how it's going to play out. What I studied economics. I like to think of myself as an economist, and the incentives are what's really interesting to me, because if you have access to a Roca sifter for whatever $800 and whatever monthly fee it is, suddenly the people that could benefit from that, people like me, where they're doing things manually, they're going to buy it, and then they're going to have just greater throughput. I'm going to be listing more copies of Multiversal Recruitment than I was before, because I now have this sifter. And so there will be more cards. It will drive the price of cards down. And so, will there necessarily be more sellers? I don't know. I don't think like a random Joe was like, oh, it's been my dream to sell cards. But now that the Roca sifter exists, I'm actually going to do it. Like, maybe that happens. I don't think so, though. And so, yeah, it definitely will impact prices and markets and stuff somewhat. But yeah, it's hard for me to imagine a world where it's not really just the people that are already doing it, just doing it more and doing it better.
Sure.
So we'll see. I'm excited. The next month they're supposed to ship. I hope that also means we get it next month. We'll see.
Yeah, I've had a few friends say they've gotten pings that like a label's been created, but like nothing's getting shipped out obviously yet. So there are some motions of those things coming out. I definitely would agree with you. I think, I mean, it's still an $800 price tag plus whatever the maintenance fee is for the year. So for some random guy, even as crazy as the market is now, to say, yeah, let me just spend $1,000 to just start doing something I have no clue of how to do, it's probably not a good idea. But when cardboard gets this crazy, there's crazier things that have happened. So who knows? That brings me though to my next question, which is, going along the lines of you kind of doing things manually. And do you have like a Fujitsu scanner or anything like that, or is it all just like bare knuckle, like we're living in the 1600s?
Yeah, I've got my iPhone with the TCGplayer app that does scanning.
Sweet.
And so one sec. I've got this dinky
I love it.
actually made
Yeah,
this
yeah.
for me. Thank you. Yeah, it's called the Card Slinger or whatever, and they put my name on it. You can't really see, but very fun. And so you're able to put your iPhone on top and put the cards in and scan. And so that's kind of the extent of the technology. I'm able to import that into Tcgplayer. I just sell on Tcgplayer, a little bit on eBay if it's like high-end stuff. But yeah, that's my technology right there.
I wanted to ask because coincidentally, as of this video coming out, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, actually, I think I did it today. I kind of was talking. The video was about basically like it's okay to go slow. When you see people making content and how crazy things are, and I watch, even though I don't really do anything with sports, I watch a lot of like Card Collector 2 and King of the Cards, just $80,000 deals, such as the other. It can make you feel like I have to be doing these big things, and I did about $40,000 in sales last year, and I have a Fujitsu, and I have all this crazy shelving, and I have this at the other. Is it okay if I tell them what you said as far as what you netted or grossed?
Yeah, I think
okay.
I mentioned it earlier, maybe, but
just in case, it was like 70 or 80 grand, right?
Yeah, 70 grand on Tcgplayer.
Yeah,
is what the W2 or whatever told me. I was surprised by it. I was like, what? All right, cool.
So if you're starting, you don't have to go nuts. And I just wanted to throw those numbers out there as a proof of concept, because my man here, I mean, not that it's a competition, but he's doubled what I did in a year, and he does not have all this crazy stuff. He finds a way to do it. He figures out how, where to put cards, how to acquire them, and he is doing what a lot of people out there want to do when they first start. And I think a lot of people, when they see all the numbers and stuff, they want to jump in full bore without like really setting the stage and doing all the hard work and doing all the manual stuff. Cause I think you would agree that if the day comes, or no, I shouldn't say if, when the day comes, when you get the sifter and you get a scanner and you start to invest more into things that make things go faster, you're still going to be doing the manual things, and you need to know how those things work in and out before you start going to bigger things. Cause what if they break? What if something happens? This is a hard industry in general. So, there's no shortcuts here. You got to make sure you're on top of everything at all times. What would you say to someone who's starting, who wants to take that risk and go willy nilly full bore? How long have you been selling? I know you said how long you've been selling before, but like, what would be the time frame that you would tell someone like to sell cards and do things manually at the very minimum before they start making any crazy investments into their workflow and technology?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I really appreciate the content you made talking about this, because one thing that drives me crazy is, in my mind, the way this happens and the way I saw this happen growing up was when kids learn guitar. So a kid starts to learn guitar, which is great, good for them. And then they're like, I want to be in a band. I want to like make music. Guitar's going to be my thing. Like they barely know how to play like C chord, right? But they're like, I'm going all in. And so their parents buy them like a brand new Gibson Les Paul or whatever, like a $2,000 guitar. And it's like, to the viewer listening, if this was you, that's fine. Good for you. Your parents are rich and they love you very much. But to me, it's like disgusting, the gap sometimes between the physical equipment you have and then the time and effort you've put into that like hobby or career or whatever, right? Like in theory, like in a perfect world, maybe, like at least in my opinion, the person who has put in the most effort, because you can imagine, right? There's some kid out there who's been playing on this dinky old guitar all the time and is so good at it, but they just don't have the money for the expensive thing, right? And
Yeah.
that's the kid that deserves the Gibson Les Paul, not the kid who barely just started lessons or whatever. That's fine. All that is just to say is that you really should take your time getting into this. I think more so, in my opinion, than like getting the skills and knowing how to sort and how to pull cards and things like that. Like I love doing this in part because it's so simple. Like compared to my day job that requires me to like use my brain in like hardcore ways. I do math like in my day job, and so that's just something to say. And I'm not the best at math, and so it can be mentally exhausting. Packing, sorting, organizing cards is relaxing. I also don't think that it's like that difficult. I think that like most people can do everything that like I've done, for example, without a lot of training or effort. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, "Do you want to make a course on like how to sell cards?" I'm like, no, I don't. it's not that hard, but and so what I did was I was told by a content creator that you could make money buying and opening commander decks. And so I bought 3 commander deck sets in Murders of Colin Manor. This was mid 2024. And that was like 3 boxes that each had 400 cards in them. And then I sorted those and just scanned them with my app and checked like, okay, this one's worth $1, keeping that. This one's only 20 cents. Like, okay, I'm not going to deal with that. And that was me sifting. And so I did 3 commander deck sets, and I think I waited 2 weeks before I bought 5. And then I waited 2 weeks, and just starting slow. Just that was how I got my inventory. That's how I started to build up. And then now, or I kind of got to the point where my steady state was like 5 commander deck sets a week, and so I just ordered 5, open them up, sell the singles, pack the singles. I really haven't invested in a lot of equipment besides like the sifter and stuff like that. That's obviously expensive. A lot of the equipment I have is kind of like bare bones, like a printer. Yeah, I was using an Epson printer that used cartridges for a long time. I did the math. I think I wasted over $1,000 on printer cartridges. That if I had just bought a printer that used ink, like had an ink tub or
Yeah.
whatever it's called, I would have saved $1,000. And so, so there's some equipment that you should like get sooner than later for sure. And honestly, like in hindsight's 2020, I should probably be using more advanced tools. I'd probably be making more money if spent some money on some of this technology. But yeah, I have made good money, been very happy with success buying and selling cards with very little overhead, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's like as I was saying in the video as well, it's like it's okay to hold on to your cards. Like you don't have to blow everything out and just like make all your stuff right back then and there. Because if you don't have an inventory, no one's gonna want to come in and buy stuff. If you're blowing out your inventory every week, it's something you want to, if you get it, you want to sell through enough of it to be able to get, at the very least, just to be able to pay off a bill or pay off whatever you did to get more in. I want to get to the point where I'm doing that like a weekly, even if it was a loss. Like I kind of just want to make sure I'm current, make sure I build a wide enough inventory of singles. When it comes to commander decks, though, I wanted to ask you that because especially with all the AI tools and the scanning and stuff, I think it's true to a certain extent. eBay has gotten a little flooded with listings of all these things, especially when it comes to commander decks and it comes to all these really popular things to break down. Do you think these cards are going to like just blow up in price? Do you think there's ever going to be a point where there's too many sellers selling some of these staples or some of these your dual lands, your temples of mystery? Like your temples are basically penny cards. They're nothing, but they come in every commander deck and literally everybody lists them. And there's just so many cards, there's so many printings that are out there. At what point do you think that seesaw is going to bounce in the other direction to where there's not going to be any point to opening commander decks,
Yeah, this is a great question, and this is what keeps me up at night, is trying to figure out the disconnect between like RNG games and the like you can make $100,000 selling bulk reality. Like I believe that's true, but then also like I have a Discord server and you have a Discord server, and I'm sure we both know people that are trying that, and it's hard. It's like really hard to list, get enough bulk listed on eBay at the right price to generate, enough sales and et cetera. The commander deck situation is interesting because I talked about, when I first brought up buying commander decks and selling them for a profit, I was talking in past tense. And that's because you can't do that same thing today. Like I was sifting back in 2024. I wasn't selling the Temples of Mystery or Temples of whatever. I was just throwing those in a corner, and I was just selling cards that were like 50 cents or more when I started. Like I have lower standards now, but I was
Sure.
like, when I was first starting, I was like, no, my time is valuable. And anyway, but and so there's good money to be made just selling the good stuff, so to speak. Today, with commander deck sets, there's not a single commander deck set I'm aware of that's available at distribution that you can make money on, even if you're sifting to like the 25-cent, 20-cent floor. If you sell everything, I think you can, and I think people are doing that. And it's hard. I want to figure out what the secret sauce is, and maybe it's just like, what differentiates somebody who kind of flounders on eBay from somebody who's like getting up to, has a great storefront and is making the path like what Rob and RG Games is or talks about. That's I think the secret sauce for sure.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that myself because I haven't talked about it yet. It'll be coming in a video soon, but I am kind of starting to go down I just started it doing chaos sorting on eBay, and I'm kind of excited to see what it's going to do because the backlog I have with a lot of the stuff I have, I'm just never going to get to it in time, and I really just want to get it listed and sold. So I'm just going to start listing basically everything. I mean, it's more older stuff. Like with Pokemon, it's like Sun and Moon stuff and older, a lot of Japanese Pokemon, a lot of this and that. And it's weird because I was actually doing the numbers. I was at work today and I was like acting like I was working, and I was just crunching sales numbers on fees and stuff. And I was wondering, with eBay, because you get so much more per card, especially on multi-card orders, like, would it make sense for the only way to differentiate yourself would to be like just like crazy ad numbers? So I came to the conclusion that like if you were to sell one card at $1.99 floor and do like 10% ads, even as a top rated seller, you're gonna walk away with like 20 cents. Which is basically what you net on Tcgplayer. So whatever. But the minute you get another card, that 20 cents turns into like $1.50. Like it's that much of an increase. So it might make sense to just start like, $1.99, $2.49 price floor, but then like 10%, 11%, 9%, or even like lots. If you're doing good on lots, maybe blast those things out there for like 15, 20%, because they're just so low value that yes, you may not make as much, but you're getting that $5, $3, whatever back fast. I think with eBay, it's just, there's so many people. I don't like saying so many people because I'm part of that group, but like it's the card uploader and SourceSwift and all these places made it so easy to just like vomit your cards online that it's hard to kind of figure out what direction to go sometimes. Have you ever second guessed like that for yourself? Like, is what I'm doing right now even worth the time? Should I try this? Should I try that? Like, how do you kind of stay on the straight and narrow on what your plan is with all the other noise going on everywhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was actually talking with my wife about this today because for my day job, I do like corporate strategy. And there's all these things that's like, are you thinking, 5 years ahead, 1 year ahead, all the annoying stuff you'd imagine that like a business consultant would say. I like goes through my head all the time. And I was just thinking, I'm like, am I following any of that advice in my own like side hustle business? Like, am I thinking about like 5 years ahead, 1 year ahead, any of that? And it's like, yeah, definitely an opportunity. But as far as second guessing goes, yeah, absolutely. I by no means, I think I have a scaling problem. Like, I don't think I'm going to make as much money on Tcgplayer this year as I did last year. Part of that is that the commander decks that I relied so heavily on that had inverted expected value with through sifting don't exist anymore. So, my sourcing I've had to be far more creative, and the margins vary when you're, have to get creative. And so I don't, what worked for me great in 2024 and 2025 is not working great for anybody today. So, I don't have any regrets with how I did things, but I am having to like kind of refigure it out. And the stuff you're talking about, really excites me, where it's like, maybe this price floor, but with these ads, or, on this platform, I get this fee structure. And so I can, organize this way and be successful. Or, maybe it's through chaos sorting that I'll be able to have my inventory, grow to that, critical mass that's going to like push me ahead or whatever. All of that, I think, is what it takes these days to get ahead. So, I don't have any regrets, but I do second guess for sure. I did look into, the eBay route is the money maker, in my opinion. I think that like, if you're serious about this and you're like, I want to make great money selling cards, then you want to look into like an eBay store. And I have done a little bit of that, but I just haven't pulled the trigger. And so I would say that I'm on a path that's like really growing, really going to get me to like where I can quit my job because I'm selling cardboard, which I'm okay with. But yeah, it's just interesting, different strokes for different folks or something.
Yeah, I've actually started, I can't do it a lot, but I've started, if I can find a bulk rare on Tcgplayer for like less than 10 cents, I just buy it and then I just throw it on direct to double my money. And it's usually like nothing crazy, but like those temples and stuff, they go on direct. Direct just vomits cards to everybody. So, but like that's the fun and also like the nervousness of doing a side business for yourself, because you can do whatever you want. Like if you want to try something, if something's going not great, like you mentioned with the commander decks, 2 years ago they're great, and now it's like, whatever. You can change, you can pivot, and like the worst thing possible that's going to happen is you lose a little time and you lose a little money, and then guess what? You get to change again. You get to make that correction, and for someone who's just starting off, that might seem very like miserable because they just want to money button press, give me money right now, that's what I want. But you have to be able to pivot, you have to be able to change. What is probably like the biggest change you've had to make in like the last maybe 3 to 6 months?
Oh, I mean, for me, making YouTube videos is the biggest change I've made the last 3 to 6 months. And that's been a blast. And that does take time away from card sorting and listing and selling and packing, but that's been great. It is a weird thing though. I know you talked about this either in an interview or video recently, but just how YouTube is not money bags, and so you as a creator you have to kind of question like, oh, what am I doing? Like, wait, I was making money selling cards, now I'm not doing that, and I'm not really making money making content. But it's fun. It's so fun and rewarding in lots of ways. And you do make money. Once you're monetized and stuff like that, there is money, and it adds up, and it is not insignificant. But yeah, that's definitely the biggest change to my business. And then beyond that is, of course, just what I talked about is just trying to source, just trying to get creative with sourcing, because I used to just be able to buy products at near distribution costs through Patreon programs, open them, sell those. That's not really a thing anymore. I've like taken lists of products available from distribution and literally gone through every single one and said like, hey, if you have a price floor, can you make money selling these? And the answer for every single one in these lists is no. So yeah,
I think the only, I know I've made videos and we talked about it before, but I really honestly think, and I check it from time to time on Mox Alpha, and I think I have Anon's price thing too. The only two sealed things that you can really make money on right now is Foundations Jumpstart and Foundations Marvel. I think the beginner boxes, the Marvel beginner boxes, I think you can still eke something out, but like we're still just like in the end. I feel like we're getting closer to the end of like the kind of like the summer slump. So like maybe in a month or two, things will start to pick up a little bit. I'm trying not to think about it too much, because I always have like the minute Black Friday comes, I'm always looking forward, like, when's next Cyber Weekend? I want Cyber Weekend now. So it's like I treat everything that's not selling now as like, okay, maybe this will make a bigger and bigger and better Cyber Weekend. For those who don't know, Cyber Weekend is like a Thanksgiving sale weekend where they do like 10% credit, and it's like an absolutely insane. You think you have decent sales at certain points on Tcgplayer during the regular year. That whole 4-day weekend is absolutely mind-blowing. So you said you've only been doing content for like 6 months?
Yeah, that's right. It was the end of January. I made my first video, and I was like, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to force myself to make a video a day, but that's what I did. I just made a video a day since then.
Yeah, I've had some lapses here and there, and fortunately I had one video that just kind of went a little nutty, and I got a little lucky on it, and I was able to do what I need to as far as getting monetized goes. But I have some friends. I have some friends that I do another podcast with, and a lot of people that I talk to in my Discord who are very nervous about putting themselves out there, or the upfront costs, like you just mentioned, of not knowing if anything's going to happen. I mean, you've only been doing it for 3-6 months, and you're already close to 2K subs, right?
Yeah, almost there. Yeah,
that just shows to go, like, goes to show, not shows to go, shows to go. Whatever, I said it wrong again. Whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen if you don't start. It's a lot of the people that do this just talking to a camera for 10 or 15 minutes, and sometimes I feel like out of every 5 videos, 2 of them sound really similar. But you have to keep in mind that even though you have a regular audience, there's a lot more people seeing your stuff for the first time than are seeing it for multiple times. And the ones that are watching it multiple times, they're your fans. They're the people that are wanting to support you and appreciate your message. So you're really not doing anything wrong, or you shouldn't really overthink, making content. It's just important to start it. There's, like you said, there's the business advantages of getting your name out there, putting a face to your brand, people finding your cards. I mean, I've had plenty of customers come through my store because they've seen my video and they're like, oh, this is the guy that packed my cards last time. Oh, this is his warehouse. This is where it all comes from. And when you can put a mental picture to that stuff, it can really just help you build a base. What is your content strategy, going forward? Are you still planning on doing daily things? Are you plan on doing openings? What do you feel like is the best way to go, or the better way to go in content with more and more people just not selling cars, but also getting into making content and kind of talking about the same things?
Yeah, it's tricky because right now my viewership is split between people who sell singles and people who speculate and invest in Magic the Gathering products. Because, at the beginning you talked about how, in Magic it can be kind of dicey with like play boxes and things like that. But my mind has been blown since making my channel, how many people are out there that do invest heavily in just Magic. And some of these people are incredibly successful. There's different plays. One example is like the Final Fantasy play booster box. When it got reprinted, dropped down to like 120, 130 bucks. They're now going for, it's like 8 months later, they're now going for 230, 240 bucks. And so there's these timing games you can play, and all these people that play those games, and some of them watch my content. And so it's weird because I've got some people that are frankly more like me, where they're like, how can I make money now? And then you get other people that are kind of like mini Rudies that are like, oh, do you have some economics insight into the future of Magic markets? And it's very different, right? It's like very different stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I enjoy both of it. I enjoy making content about both of it. I find that I'll do these analyses on collector booster boxes and be like, oh wow, like Spider-Man collector booster boxes are really poised to go up in value over the next couple of years. If only I had like 50 grand, to like just buy a bunch and stick it in some, well-contained storage unit or whatever. But I love making content for both groups. But yeah, I do find, I don't know what the mix is, but I most certainly will continue to document like the openings I'm doing and sourcing strategies and things like that, because it's fun. It's really fun to talk about.
Does the amount of people investing nowadays scare you at all? Because I know a few, I don't remember when it was I said it, and I kind of, when I said it, I meant it in a different way, but I had referred to cards coming to, I think would be like a similar version of what the junk wax era was for sports, where no, they're not going to be printing things to oblivion to where they're valueless, but in a sense to where there are so many people. It's not like it's the 80s going into the 2000s with the advent of the internet and eBay. A lot of these people didn't know they had these things, then they find out they're valuable. People have been sitting on it. Boom, you make money. Now there's so many people speculating on what is going to happen, that all these Pokemon printings, all this stuff, everyone's trying to keep all these things sealed for the eventuality that they go up in price and you can sell them. But then you also have to answer the question, well, what are the liquidity of these things going to be if so many people have these things? Is it even worth it? Not only that, but if you're trying to build a business like I am and you are, how much of that money are you willing to tie up into things that might not necessarily have the highest benefit down the road, when you could put that money to work and make more money over time? So does it scare you on at that front of how many people are investing, and how do you decide, especially with Magic and collector boxes, how much you put towards investing into something versus how much you put towards putting to work so that way you can grow? Because every dollar that sits there is like compounded over time of the progress that you can make.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. If you have the time and the energy and the skills, I'll say skills, but I do believe that basically anybody can do this, to source collections, source inventory, flip it, essentially, just break down the card, sell it on eBay, sell it on Tcgplayer, wherever. You can grow your money so much faster than just buying some boxes and having them sit on a shelf, like hands down. That being said, it is very interesting and attractive to a lot of people that you can buy these Pokemon boxes or collector booster boxes from Magic or whatever, stick them in a closet, and just wait, 5, 10, however many years, and see the appreciation. What's scary to me, so like, am I scared about this stuff? Yeah, I think everybody should be. This is unknown territory. I don't care what you say. Well, I do care what you say. I especially you, Bronze. But
Oh, too kind.
this is where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
It's that economists their job in a lot of areas of the world is to predict prices. Predicting prices is generally a function of what was the price yesterday. Like, what's the best predictor of the price today? It's the price yesterday. And we don't know. Like, I'll talk about Magic a little bit. I believe this is true for Pokemon as well. Magic has had, normal booster boxes since its origin in 1993, but it's only had collector booster boxes for like the past 7 years.
Yep.
What is it going to be 7 years from now? The collector booster boxes from the first couple of years didn't age very well. Like, a lot of those are still fairly close to MSRP. But the newer collector boxes, we see collector boxes that came out last year, like Final Fantasy, they're already at $2,000, where their MSRP was $450, and you could pre-order them for $600, and so they 3x'd in 1 year or whatever. We just don't know. We just don't know. Like, anyone who's trying to be like, oh yeah, Final Fantasy will definitely be like a 10 grand box a few years from now. We just don't know. And I guess one great example of this was, I don't know if you're familiar with the Skill Check channel. Charlie, who's like a big streamer. Yeah, no worries, because it's mostly Magic content where they play Magic Commander games or open up Magic boxes. Sometimes they open up Pokemon or One Piece or whatever. But just a bunch of nerds that make content. It's great. They Charlie on that channel was opening up Lord of the Rings collectors, a special edition collector booster boxes. And before he started opening, these boxes were $2,000, which is expensive.
Yeah,
they're expensive boxes, and they are sought after. They have cool cards. People have decided. I say that because when they first came out, nobody wanted them. Stores could not sell them for $240, which was distro pricing or whatever. But now, 3 years later, they're $2,000 booster boxes. Well, Charlie with Skill Check was opening these boxes, and the price just shot up. Just like everyone listing on Tcgplayer and eBay just decided, hey, these are actually $10,000 boxes. There's a confirmed sale, and maybe it got canceled, whatever. But there's at least somebody swiped a credit card at Tcgplayer for over $10,000 for one of these collector booster boxes. Charlie made a video addressing it and saying hey, scalpers have bought these things up and contacted me and said, hey, I will sell them to you for $7,000 or $8,000 or whatever. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy from scalpers. Immediately after Charlie made that video, the price goes back down to I think they're $5,000 or $6,000 now. I should check myself. I've been following the individual booster packs. There's actually only a couple. It's been crazy. But so the point is, and I want to make a video about this soon, is that I think there's a lot of irrationality in these markets. I think there's a lot of just people raise the price because they raise the price. And this is most certainly true. I would say, I'm not a Pokemon expert, but from what my understanding is, in Pokemon, some things are high prices, and people will all the time be like, oh, it's the art. Oh, it's because it's got this one card or whatever. I don't think we really know. I think sometimes the price is high just because the price is high. And like you said, somebody could come in with a bunch of these and crater the price, and it could be cratered for a long time because of one person who had a couple master cases or whatever and is just trying to liquidate it. And so anyways, I don't know what's happening for sure. I think that you and anybody can make great money investing in Pokemon, investing in Magic. I believe that's true. But to pretend like where this is all going, there's a lot of uncertainty. I would say that the risk premium is there, right? People are making 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% returns year over year. That's a premium on risk, and there is risk, is what I'd say.
Yeah, and to that, there's so many channels that are coming out that are financial investment, Pokemon, cardboard things. it's easy to be right when everything goes up all the time. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's literally just throw out any products. Oh yeah, this will go up in a month or two, and it's going to. That's where we are right now. So you know, my channel included, anyone's channel included, you do have to be. It's a little less because I don't give like financial advice or like investment advice. But when you're watching a investment channel or trying to figure out like who maybe I should follow this guy's advice, like Nick said, nope, nobody knows. Everything's right. Everything's sky high. It's just crazy. So just be careful because there will be a point. It may never go back to $100 boxes again, but there will be a cardboard version of the shot heard around the world for all you history buffs, and then things gonna go boo, and then it's gonna be all over, or it's going to be not a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know
there's all kinds of funny business going on. So I couldn't agree more.
With I know I wouldn't say, again, this isn't financial advice, but what percentage of your money should you say, like if you're trying to grow a business and sell, what percentage of your money would you say you should put towards like maybe keeping, and then what portion would you say you should use for the buying and selling? Because I've been like, I try not to take out too much, but usually I'll buy like, if I buy, so for instance, the Destined Rivals restock, I got a case of ETBs, I got a booster box, I took out one extra ETB and put it to the side, and everything else is just going to, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm probably going to try to use it to start a rip and ship, or maybe start using it for trade fodder for bulk. I don't know, but I know I don't want to hold on to it too long. I have my one, that's what I collect right there. Everything in my master set binders, like that's all liable to go. I've limited myself to, because I deal with bulk, all the commons and uncommons, all the reverses and stuff, at any card $5 and less. I will keep, or I'll pull out of a collection I buy because it's not that much. I can still make profit, and the expensive cards are always going to be expensive. So if I have to spend an extra $10 in a year from now to get it, whatever. But there's too many things that are too high right now to justify holding on to it. I think, what was the set? White Flare, one of the black and white sets. There's an Oshawa illustration rare that was $30 for the longest time, and now it's $100.
Yeah,
I'm not holding on to that. Thank you. But yeah, so what percentage of your money do you think is responsible in play with when you are trying to run a business? Is there a right or wrong answer to that? Is it more just like how risky you're willing to get with the money that you have? I'd be interested to know, since you're a senior economic analyst at Capital Catalyst Enterprises.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a great question, and it's really interesting. I do want to say first that a Bronzgod rip and ship would go hard. Just want to put that out there. To the question, I really think it is just all a function of, like, if you want to make the most money, then you should be buying collections and bulk and sealed product with inverted expected value, opening it up, selling the singles, churn and burn with every single penny. And sometimes there's like short-term plays that you can make that are, with sealed product. Like I've been quite successful this year pre-ordering collector booster boxes at discounted prices and then selling those like a month later. That's pretty quick. That's basically still a churn and burn, just with a sealed box instead of singles. But that's what you want to do if you're serious about just maximizing profit and you've got time and the energy to do it. That's what you should be doing. Now, if you don't have time, if you don't have the energy, if you don't care for the world of kind of flipping, then take your time, then invest, then check out this Destined Rivals restock, or look at the Magic, the new set coming out, Reality Fracture. Looks like it's going to be something successful. Oh man, yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities to just buy and to hold, and if you don't need that money for the next 2, 5, 10 years, whatever, it's really hard to go wrong. Granted, you still always want to go right. You want to get the best deal and be smart with your money. But yeah, it's for me personally, like I do not maximize the amount of money that I make, and just because I like keeping it's over here, keeping some stuff. It's fun to have a shelf with shiny cardboard on it. It's I, so like with Reality Fracture, I'm trying to pre-order as many boxes as I can. I'm hoping to sell all except for one and make money that will cover the last one, and then hopefully make money on top of that too. But like, could I sell that last one, sell it for $600, use that $600 to buy a collection and compound? Like, yeah, I totally could do that, but I'm making a decision not to because I want to own it, and I think that's perfectly okay. And so we'll have to find that balance with ourselves, right? It's like, how hardcore do you want to be versus how much do you want to just enjoy it? Just put something on your shelf and just enjoy it.
Yeah. It's, years ago it was Van Gogh and a lot of different arts and different structures. Now someone comes in, you invite a girl or a guy over for the first time and it's like, oh, is that a Fallout collector booster box on your shelf? Interesting. Like, it's fun to have all these different cardboard products, and they're fun to look at. They're beautiful. I mean, they're definitely different than they were 20, 30 years ago. And yeah, man. So what are your plans for the next, oh, was that?
Oh, just my mom was going through my house. There's a Doctor Who commander deck right here. And she was like, Doctor Who in Magic? I was, anyway, just your point. It's fun to have.
That's how people get roped into the game. Now you got to run her through some games on Magic Arena and get her hooked like everyone else does. So for the next 6, 12, 18 months, like what is your plans? Do you plan on scaling further? Do you plan on wanting a business or a card shop one day? Like, what's your end goal with what you're trying to grow and what you're trying to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And like I said, I was talking with my loved ones today about this, where I'm like, I haven't figured out my 5-year plan, which is too bad. I need to get on that. But as of now, I am loving YouTube. I'm loving making content. I think that I would consider myself at this point like a YouTuber first and a card seller second, even though that's certainly not like how the money goes or things like that, right? But I'm loving the YouTube. I want to invest more and more into that, which I'm making videos daily, working on the tools and the data I have to try to do more interesting analyses and insights, and improving my thumbnail quality and things like that are kind of must-haves on my list. As far as the card business goes, I am interested in scaling it and investing into it, which is where the Roca Sifter comes in, where hopefully the card mills come in. I get so excited about a potential future where I'm able to, I said that there aren't commander decks you can flip for a profit. That's not true. Strixhaven commander deck sets, not all the decks, but some of the decks have inverted expected values. And I'm just really excited for example, the Prismari one, which is red and blue.
Yeah.
That one has inverted expected value if you can get it at a decent price. I'm really looking forward to being able to just rip that deck open, stick the cards in, and say, give me all the cards that are worth 25 cents or more or whatever, and then it just give me that pile. They're already scanned into Tcgplayer. I hit a button, they're in my inventory, and then hopefully where the card mill comes in is it's going to be able to rough alphabetize. At least that's how they've advertised it. There's all these asterisks because we don't have the product yet and things are changing, but it should be able to like have 26 bins and put all the A's and B's and C's and D's together. And if that works like they've advertised it will, then I'll be able to use the Roca Sifter to pull out to sift, then use the card mill to pseudo alphabetize, and then it's like those things can just run overnight or whatever to, in a few hours, suddenly have my commander decks sifted and alphabetized, which is really important for Tcgplayer, the way the packing forms work and things like that. So I'm not using any chaos sort system yet. Probably won't, as long as I'm just on Tcgplayer. But so yeah, I'm curious how that will impact throughput. I might be able to go from 5 commander deck sets a week to 10 or something like that. That being said, if everybody's thinking this way, then maybe everybody's going to be doing more cards and prices will just go down. And so a lot of unknowns, but I'm excited about my future with selling cardboard.
Oh yeah, and to that point, that's why I've always never minded taking it slow. I don't mind being the guy like sitting on I'll just sit on the wall. I'll just let everybody do their thing. Hey, if it works out for them and I missed, I'm fine with that. But I would much rather have missed on an opportunity like that than be part of a huge just like explosion and not. I just don't want. That scares me more. So I'm willing to just sit on the sidelines and make a little less and let the dust settle and go from there. And they made some pretty bold claims about the sifter with the foil recognition and this, that, the other. And I kind of want to see this work before I spend the $1,000 that I would need to get it to go. But that's just me. The card mill, though, how does the card mill been going? Because I know there was that little blip there where they, absconded with, not necessarily run away with the money, but they were a little unreachable and no one knew what was happening. And then all of a sudden they just like came back. Like, how did that transpire? How's there?
My understanding is that, well, so they did a Kickstarter that I believe was like mid last year.
Yeah.
And like I said, I participated in that. I gave them a bunch of money and said like, all right, hope this works out. And then they said they were going to have the product ready by like December of last year. The product is not ready yet. And shortly around that time, they let us know they're like, actually, it's not going to be ready until like the December of 2026. So now that's what we're waiting on. And they said for like good reasons. They're like, oh, because our Kickstarter exploded and we have all the support. So now we're actually going to like contract out and get molds and the quality is going to be much better and yada, yada, which is great. I hope so, man. I am optimistic. Like I said, I gave them money not because I'm an idiot that loves to give random people my money, but because I did my research and I do believe they will get me a sorter sifter that works. But yeah, I mean, definitely some promises have been broken, which is never a good sign, right? So that's where we're at. Is I'm part of their Discord, and I get updates every once in a while where they're like, "See, check it out in action and stuff like that." So I believe my understanding is it's still on track, still happening. If this was a con, I think they've already have the money, so I don't see why they would keep it going. But yeah. We'll see. I could still be the fool made of, but so far so good.
I'm definitely an all or nothing guy, man. Like I will give you my full trust 100% right up front, but the minute there's a crack on the ice, it's like, nope, done. There's been some deals where I don't even care if you're a good person or you're upfront and you're great at everything. There are a few phrases, or if I ask you a straight question and I get like a nope, done. Just yes, no. I give you money, you give me cards. There's no hemming and hawing. This was the degree. This is like I don't touch that anymore. Do you have any? Do you have any red flags like that? Because I don't mess around with people anymore. You burn me once. You singe me once. I move on to the next one.
Yeah, well, you've got stories. Like I've heard you talk about people who've stolen from you, and stuff like that, which is crazy. I don't know how I would react if somebody just like grabbed product from me and ran or something like that, so mad respect to you for that. I have been scammed. I've been scammed before, and that's on me. Like in hindsight's 2020, right? If somebody's got like the best deal ever over Facebook Marketplace and they're going to ship it to you, it's just not a good deal. It's just not real. And a lot of those times I've been able to get my money back. Some of those times I haven't. I bought stuff on eBay that I wasn't able to get my money back, even though, eBay buyer security my butt. Like, I'm still upset about, it was $200. It wasn't the end of the world, but I'm so upset. And eBay, if you see this and you want to make it right, you still can. You can still make this right. But yeah, and so I guess in some ways I haven't been the best at distinguishing, malice or greed or whatever, but I've learned and I've gotten better at it. And a lot of the online transactions, it really does just come down to like, do you have recourse? Like, is it, if you're paying with a credit card, you can cancel that payment if someone's trying to scam you. So that's good. But also, like, you just don't want to get into that mess. If somebody is selling stuff for too good of a deal, just avoid it. It takes some education too to know what too good of a deal is. I famously bought some Modern Horizons 3 collector booster boxes for prices that
Ooh,
were below distribution pricing. I didn't know that at the
good
time,
deal.
but like, yeah, it was a great deal. And so I had to, work with Shopify and work with the credit cards and get that canceled. And it's like, and yeah, I learned after the fact that it's like, no, there's not only was the price too good, the price was too good that it would be like impossible for somebody to sell at that price. And so take some education, be careful out there. But yeah, luckily in person has all gone great with me. I live in kind of south of Virginia, like
Okay.
Virginia Beach kind of area, and so yeah, it's been breezy as far as in person stuff goes. But online, you got to watch out. Got to watch out.
Oh yeah, it's rough, but the one thing about getting burned is you usually have to do it once, and then you harden up real quick. It's easy to learn. I know we're
Yeah,
kind of getting
just be
to. Oh, go ahead.
careful.
No, continue. Good.
Oh no, yeah, just be careful how much you get burned on that first time,
Yeah,
right? Just yeah,
yeah. You don't want to get so burned that you're charred and you can't recover. It's
oh
because it
man,
happens. I've seen it happen where people they start and they're having fun. And next thing you know, they're burned and they're what's the poker term or what's the gambling term? They crap out or they hit. There's nothing left, and then
yeah.
it sours you, and you don't want to take another shot at it.
Yeah, it's like your money is so valuable, obviously, by definition. And so just be very careful, even for stuff that isn't a scam. If you're like, I'm going to buy this and break it down, I'm going to make money. Just be careful. And it's impossible to know 100% for sure that you're going to make money buying a collection or buying some sealed product, but, you know, be careful.
That's all you can do. That's all you
Uh,
can do. I know we're getting a little bit over our time, so I apologize for keeping you longer than usual. But before we close it out, I always like to give it over to the guest. Was there any topic we did not discuss, or did you have anything that you wanted to bring up or add before we send you on your merry way?
I would love, like, I have fallen in love with your content. I'm not just here to glaze you, but it's part of what I
Yeah,
do.
no, I appreciate it.
Over over the past, like month or so, um, and it feels like you're doing everything. You're like you got channels, you got business, you got your day job. What and then you have the dream that you've talked about of like opening up a store and having the warehouse or just having the big picture, big capabilities with selling cardboard. Um, what's what's the short term like? I'm just kind of enamored with the ambition combined with the action that you're taking. It feels like you're going to get there. And so, what's the short term plans for like your YouTube, for your business? What are you hoping to pull off?
So I'm glad you mentioned the content thing earlier because I've noticed that when I do my content and then I always feel like I'm extra behind on the cards. But I think you succeeding how you have now and where I'm getting at content, I almost feel like it's worth kind of maybe doing a flip flop where the content comes first, then I do whatever I can with the cards, still go hard on it, but because it's obviously the business I want. But I feel like if you do the content right and you do it, you're out there all the time. There's room to be making that $500,000 a month, like free money that you can use to then rapidly grow the other stuff. I had a lot of stuff that I was sitting on for so long because I didn't have enough time to push through it that ended up being beneficial in the previous months where I sold all that bulk and I had a nice little windfall that I was able to take care of some things. I've talked about it before, but like I don't like my job and I just turned 42. So I kind of feel like my feet are to the fire of like, I need to, I like if there is a second of the day that I am not spending doing content, doing cards, or I mean even some of the other channels, I haven't really done much on them yet, but I've done some, but not a lot. But if I'm not using my time to get me to where I want to be, then it's not something that I should be doing. It's a lot of the reason why I quit drinking a year ago. It's a lot of the reason why I don't really go out anymore because I want this fast track. I want to get to where I can as fast as possible, but while taking it slow. I was watching a video yesterday, and the guy, I can't remember who it was, but he was talking about kind of that aspect of when is grinding too hard and not like taking a pause. Where does the benefit come from that? And he had applied it a lot to working a 40-hour job than working overtime. A lot of the reason that companies are deterred from paying overtime is because the production of someone, there's a sharp fall off. Like maybe 41, 42 hours is fine, but 45, 50, 55, there is like a actual verified drop in productivity once you get past a certain point. So then I started thinking, well, like, man, if I'm spending every hour that I have off sorting and every hour that I have off doing this and that, maybe I could procure a little bit more of that time doing some less frictionless stuff like content and the gaming stuff that I want to get into, but still 40 hours or 30 hours, just cap it. Like as much as I like sorting or sifting or whatever, 2 hours a night, 3 hours a night, you're done. On my days off, treat it like a 9 to 5. 9 to 5, then you're done, move on to the next thing. It's hard to do because I know I don't want to be where I'm at right now, but I use my job and my hatred for it as the driving force behind wanting to get where I want as fast as possible.
It's like unfortunate that you have to suffer for people to, but I think that like your content is just so interesting and powerful, and I think it's because of that. It's because of your hatred for your job in part, right? and just how it motivates you and drives you, and or just how productive, and not just the like push factor, but also the pull factor of how you're excited for this future that's inevitable if you keep working like you are. So anyways, just cool stuff. It was fun to be able to ask you that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate it too. I mean, it's still weird hearing anyone say that they like what I do. And I'm sure you feel the same way when someone gives you a nice compliment about something they did. Because, you know, whether me or you become 100,000 million subscriber channels, or we just sit here at our couple thousand and enjoy ourselves, we're just random dudes. We just random dudes that like talking about what we like. And, you know, I've said it in other videos. It's just, you never know what your life story and your experiences and what you say that might really resonate with someone else out there who's going through the same thing, if not worse. And just having a physical manifestation of voicing how you feel, showing that you're succeeding at some level, could be enough to help pull someone out from a situation they're in, or maybe nudge them in the right direction to change. And that's a lot of the reason why I did this, because I was in a lot of debt. I did have, you know, my addiction problems and, you know, this, that, the other. And I think everyone does go through those things, and it's hard to talk about them. So even if someone watching doesn't want to talk about them themselves, seeing other people go through those motions can be powerful enough to where no matter what scale you're on, it can do good. And ultimately we're all here to help each other, right? It's a big, happy cardboard family.
Absolutely. Yeah. My shout out is antidepressants. I got on some good antidepressants end of last year. I definitely would not be like doing content. I was fine. I was like existing and fine, but not nearly as productive as I am now. It's just cool. It's cool to hear. What really inspired me to do YouTube and to keep doing it was that some of my early videos would get like 50 views. Which people, obviously 50 views, they're like, oh, that's pathetic. I helped teach college classes, and if I had 50 people in a room that would listen to me for 10 minutes and actually wanted to be there, like that would have been insane. It's like the reality of it was I'd have 10 people there. They did not necessarily want to be there. They just needed the grade. They were trying to learn, but just, means to an end. So it's like, if you can make a YouTube video and get 50 views, that is such a big deal. And I still feel that way. And so when I make videos and they get like 1,000, 2,000 views, it's like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy channel. So,
I mean, even if you quantify it into real life terms, like if you take those 50 people and you walk through a grocery store and try to talk to 50 people, 49 of them are going to be like, okay, thanks, bye, see you later. Like, you're not going to even get a pleasantry. So the fact that, anyone is willing to click on the video I made and stick around for any period of time just to like see what I have to offer, it's pretty mind blowing. It's weird. It's a weird hurdle to get over when you start, but then you start seeing those numbers come, and then you see the comments, and it's like, okay, this is it. This is real. This is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure about the Pokemon space. I think there's more Pokemon YouTubers, obviously, than like Magic YouTubers. In the Magic space, I was very much like, there's a lack of content. There's obviously the big dogs. There's the like RNG Games and Kitchen Table TCG and Rogue Deck Builder or whoever that own stores, and their content is just like pure gold. But they make a video a week, if that. And so if you're listening to YouTube every day, there's just a lack of content. And I'm sure this is true for some niches in Pokemon too. I just say that Pokemon has like a lot more, I think, content on YouTube in general, but especially in Magic. There's people out there that are thinking like, oh, I wish there was more content out there about this niche I like. That's how I thought. And then, who knew that like 8 months later have a couple thousand subscribers. It's crazy. Very fun.
Well, dude, I haven't been able to watch too many of your videos in the time that you had reached out. I have watched one or two, and it's excellent stuff. So I strongly suggest anyone out there who has not met my man yet or seen his stuff to make sure you go check him out. Before we do sign off, if one more time you want to let them know where to find you, and we'll ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me. YouTube is where I am. It's where I live. I guess I have some links in like the descriptions of my videos, but check me out on YouTube, watch a video. If for all the Poke Bros out there, I say boo Pokemon, but it's a joke. And you should diversify and learn a little bit about your more play centric brother in cardboard that is Magic the Gathering. So yeah, come check it out.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I appreciate the time again. Thanks for hanging out for a little extra time too. It's really easy to talk about cardboard, and 10 minutes turns into almost 2 hours very easily. So hope the rest of the year goes well for you. That was Sunday Morning Conversation. Thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.